The marble floors of Sterling Tech gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights as Victoria Sterling clicked her heels across the executive lobby. Her emerald eyes were cold as winter frost, and her platinum blonde hair was pulled back in a perfect chignon that screamed authority. At 28, she had built a tech empire worth billions. But her reputation for ruthlessness preceded her everywhere. Marcus Rivera pushed his cleaning cart silently through the corridors, his dark brown eyes, observing everything while appearing to notice nothing. His black hair was slightly disheveled, and his janitor's uniform hung loose on his athletic frame. For 6 months, he had mopped these floors, emptied these trash cans, and listened to conversations that weren't meant for his ears. "Ladies and gentlemen," Victoria's voice cut through the morning chatter like a blade. The entire first floor fell silent as employees gathered around the central atrium. Her red power suit commanded attention as she stood on the elevated platform near the reception desk. Marcus continued wiping down a nearby table, but his movements slowed. Something was different today. Victoria's usual composed demeanor seemed strained, her fingers gripping the microphone too tightly.
"It has come to my attention that someone in this building has been stealing from us," she announced.
Her voice carried across the marble space, echoing off the glass walls. Not just money, but sensitive information. Trade secrets. The very foundation of what we've built together. Whispers rippled through the crowd like water. Marcus felt his pulse quicken, but he kept his expression neutral, focusing on the imaginary stain he was scrubbing. Security footage. "Shows suspicious activity during off hours," Victoria continued, her gaze sweeping across the assembled employees. "Someone with access to areas they shouldn't be in. Someone we trusted." Marcus knew what was coming before she said it. He had been expecting this moment for weeks, though not quite like this. Not so publicly, not with such venom in her voice. "Rivera?" she called out, her finger pointing directly at him. "Step forward." The crowd parted like the Red Sea as Marcus slowly straightened, setting down his cleaning cloth. Every eye in the building was on him as he walked toward the platform, his work boots silent on the polished floor. "You're fired," Victoria declared, her voice carrying no emotion. "Security will escort you out immediately. Your final paycheck will be mailed to you, minus deductions for the damages you've caused to this company." Marcus looked up at her, meeting her fierce gaze with calm brown eyes. For a moment, something flickered between them, a recognition neither could quite place. Then her phone rang, shattering the tense silence. "Victoria Sterling," she answered crisply, never breaking eye contact with Marcus. But as she listened to the voice on the other end, her face went pale. Her confident posture wavered, and her free hand gripped the podium. "What do you mean, FBI?" she whispered into the phone, though the acoustics carried her words to every corner of the lobby. Part 2. Secrets. Unveiled, the conference room felt like a pressure cooker as Victoria paced behind the long mahogany table. Agent Jennifer Walsh sat across from Marcus, who was no longer the quiet janitor, but revealed as Detective Marcus Rivera, undercover investigator with the FBI's white-collar crime division. 6 months, Victoria said, her voice barely controlled. 6 months you've been in my building, watching me, judging me, pretending to be something you're not. Marcus loosened his collar, the janitor's uniform replaced by a crisp white shirt and dark jacket. "The investigation wasn't about you initially. We received tips about industrial espionage, specifically targeting your quantum computing research." Victoria stopped pacing and turned to face him. "Then why did you let me humiliate myself out there? Why didn't you stop me from firing you in front of everyone?" "Because someone in this room is watching," he said quietly. "Someone who's been feeding information to your competitors for the past 8 months. We needed to maintain my cover until we could identify them." Agent Walsh spread photographs across the table. "These are surveillance photos of meetings between your head of research, Dr. Nathan Cross, and representatives from Meridian Industries, your biggest competitor." Victoria's legs gave out, and she sank into the leather chair. "Nathan, but he's been with me since the beginning. Helped me build this company from nothing." Marcus moved closer, his voice gentle now. "I know this is hard, but the evidence is overwhelming. Bank transfers, encrypted communications, stolen prototypes. He's been selling your innovations before you could even patent them. The quantum processor, Victoria whispered. We were so close to breakthrough, but Meridian announced their version 3 weeks ago. Nathan said it was just a coincidence that great minds think alike. There are no coincidences in corporate espionage, Agent Walsh said. We need your help to get the evidence we need for prosecution. Will you work with us? Victoria looked at Marcus, really looked at him for the first time. Without the humble posture of a janitor, she could see the intelligence in his eyes. The quiet strength in his shoulders, the careful way he observed everything around him. You must think I'm terrible, she said. The way I treated you, the way I spoke to you all these months. Marcus surprised her by smiling, a warm expression that transformed his entire face. You're not terrible, Victoria. You're protective of what you've built. I respect that, but I was cruel. Never even learned your real name until today. Well, we can fix that now, he said, extending his hand to her. Detective Marcus Rivera, FBI. Pleased to make your acquaintance, Miss Sterling. She took his hand. Feeling the calluses from his real job, mixed with the softness from months of cleaning supplies. Victoria? Just Victoria. Their hands lingered together longer than necessary, and Victoria felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Vulnerability, mixed with attraction. This man had seen her at her worst, and was still looking at her with kindness. So what happens now? She asked, not wanting to let go of his hand. Now we catch Dr. Cross in the act, Marcus said. But I'll need you to trust me completely. Can I? You do that? Victoria nodded, squeezing his hand once before releasing it. I can do that. The Sterling Tech building felt different at midnight. Victoria's heels echoed through empty corridors as she and Marcus made their way to the research and development floor. Emergency lighting cast long shadows, and the usual hum of productivity was replaced by an unsettling silence. Dr. Cross always works late on Wednesdays, Victoria whispered as they approached his private laboratory. He says it's when he does his best thinking. Marcus checked the small recording device in his jacket pocket. Remember, we need him to explicitly discuss the stolen plans. Just mentioning Meridian Industries won't be enough for prosecution. They reached the laboratory door, and Victoria used her master key card to unlock it. Through the frosted glass, they could see the glow of computer monitors and hear the soft murmur of voices. He's not alone, Marcus observed, pressing his ear to the door. Victoria's heart pounded as she recognized the second voice. That's Rebecca Chen, my head of marketing. Marcus, I think this goes deeper than just Nathan. Inside the lab, they could hear Dr. Cross speaking. The quantum encryption. Codes are worth at least 50 million to Meridian. With Victoria focused on the janitor situation, she won't notice the transfer until it's too late. Rebecca's laugh was cold and calculating. You should have seen her face today, Nathan. So righteous, so sure of herself. She only knew her. Precious company was being gutted from within. Victoria felt tears sting her eyes. These people weren't just employees, they were friends. She had been to Rebecca's wedding, had celebrated Nathan's daughter's graduation. The betrayal cut deeper than any business loss ever could. Marcus placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, grounding her. His touch was warm and reassuring, reminding her she wasn't alone in this. The transfer happens at 1 a.m., Dr. Cross continued. Once the files are uploaded to their servers, there's no way to trace them back to us. That gives us 20 minutes, Marcus whispered to Victoria. We need to get closer to record the actual exchange. They crept into the adjoining supply room, where the ventilation system provided a direct audio feed to the laboratory. Victoria found herself pressed close to Marcus in the cramped space, her back against his chest as they both strained to hear. Are you okay? He murmured against her ear, his breath sending shivers down her spine. Victoria nodded, acutely aware of his proximity. Despite everything happening around them, she felt safer with him than she had in years. I never imagined people I trusted could do this. Trust is a precious thing, Marcus replied softly. But it also makes us vulnerable to the people who would abuse it. Through the ventilation grate, they watched Dr. Cross log into the secured server, while Rebecca kept watch at the door. The soft glow of the computer screen illuminated their faces, making them look like strangers to Victoria. Uploading now, Dr. Cross announced. Meridian will have everything they need to replicate our quantum processor by morning. Victoria's phone buzzed with a text message. She pulled it out carefully, trying not to make noise. The message was from Dr. Cross. Victoria, working late again. Hope you're getting some rest. See you tomorrow. Nathan, the casual deception stung worse than anything else. Even now, in the middle of betraying her, he was maintaining the pretense of friendship. Marcus saw the message and gently took her phone, typing a quick response. Thanks, Nathan. Don't work too hard. His fingers brushed hers as he handed the phone back, and Victoria felt a spark of electricity that had nothing to do with the technology surrounding them. In the midst of professional betrayal, she was discovering something unexpectedly genuine. Upload complete, Dr. Cross announced. $50 million will be transferred to our accounts by Friday. Finally, Rebecca said. To admire Victoria's vision, the company will be ours soon enough. Marcus activated his recording device and prepared to call for backup. But as he reached for his phone, Victoria grabbed his wrist. Wait, she whispered. I want to confront them. Myself first. I need to understand why. Victoria pushed open the laboratory door with Marcus close behind her. The sudden intrusion caught Dr. Cross and Rebecca completely off guard, their faces shifting from shock to guilt to anger in rapid succession. Hello, Nathan. Rebecca, Victoria said, her voice steady despite the emotions churning inside her. Working late, I see. Dr. Cross immediately moved to close the computer, but Marcus was faster, stepping between him and the keyboard. Wouldn't do that if I were you, Dr. Cross. We've already recorded everything. Rebecca's face went pale. Victoria, this isn't what it looks like, really. Victoria's green eyes flashed with hurt and anger, because it looks like two people I trusted are stealing my life's work and selling it to my competitors. You don't understand the pressure we've been under? Dr. Cross said, his voice defensive. You'll get all the credit, all the recognition, while we do the actual work. Meridian offered us what we're actually worth. I offered you partnership, Victoria shot back. I offered you equity in the company. You chose betrayal instead. Marcus kept his position near the computer while pulling out his FBI badge. Dr. Nathan Cross, Rebecca Chen. You're both under arrest for corporate espionage and theft of intellectual property. That's when everything went wrong. Rebecca suddenly lunged for a fire alarm on the wall, triggering the building's emergency. Systems. Alarms blared, emergency lights flashed, and the automatic lockdown procedures began engaging. Dr. Kraus shouted, pushing past Marcus toward the emergency exit. The laboratory door slammed shut as the security systems activated, trapping Victoria and Marcus inside, while their suspects fled through the emergency stairwell. The building's in lockdown mode, Victoria explained, typing frantically at a control terminal. It'll take at least 10 minutes to override. Marcus was already on his radio, calling for backup to intercept Dr. Cross and Rebecca at the exits. But the static response told them what they already knew: the building's emergency systems were blocking communications. There's another way out, Victoria said, grabbing his hand. The executive elevator has an emergency override. It connects directly to the parking garage. They ran through the darkened corridors, emergency lights casting everything in red shadows. Behind them, they could hear security doors slamming shut as the building sealed itself. This way, Victoria led him toward her private elevator, her key card granting them access even during lockdown. As the elevator descended, they found themselves alone in the small space, both breathing hard from their escape. The adrenaline of the chase mixed with the electricity that had been building between them all evening. Victoria, Marcus said, turning to face her. There's something I need to tell you. What is it? She asked, noticing how close they were standing in the confined space. When this is over, when the case is closed, ... Well, he hesitated. I need you to know that everything I felt, everything between us, it's real. It's not part of the job. Victoria's heart skipped a beat. Before she could finish, the elevator jerked to a stop between floors. The lights flickered and went out, leaving them in complete darkness. Emergency powers kicked in, Victoria whispered, her voice barely audible over the humming of backup. Systems. In the darkness, Marcus found her hand. Are you scared? Not with you here, she admitted, surprised by her own honesty. His thumb traced gentle circles on her palm. Victoria, I know the timing is terrible, but I need you to know these past few months, watching you, seeing how you really are when you think no one's looking. I know, she whispered, stepping closer to him in the dark. I feel it too. The elevator shuddered back to life, but instead of pulling away from each other, they moved closer together. When the lights flickered back on, Victoria found herself looking up into Marcus's warm brown eyes. We need to catch them, she said softly. We will, he promised. Together. The elevator doors opened to reveal the parking garage, where they could hear the squeal of tires echoing off concrete walls. The parking garage erupted in chaos as Dr. Cross and Rebecca attempted their escape in a black sedan. Marcus and Victoria emerged from the elevator just as FBI backup vehicles surrounded the exits, their headlights cutting through the underground. Darkness. Dr. Cross, Rebecca Chen. This is the FBI. Agent Walsh's voice boomed through a megaphone. Exit the vehicle with your hands visible. But Dr. Cross wasn't giving up easily. He gunned the engine, tires screaming against concrete as he tried to ram through the FBI blockade. The sedan skidded sideways, crashing into a concrete pillar with a tremendous impact. Victoria instinctively moved forward, but Marcus pulled her behind a parked car for protection. Stay down, he said, drawing his weapon as other agents moved in. Steam poured from the sedan's damaged hood, and both doors opened slowly. Dr. Cross stumbled out first, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead, his hands raised in surrender. Rebecca followed, tears streaming down her face. It's over, Marcus called out, holstering his weapon as other agents moved in to make the arrests. Victoria watched as two people she had trusted and cared about were handcuffed and read their rights. The betrayal still stung, but she felt a strange sense of closure seeing justice served. Miss Sterling, Agent Walsh approached them with a tablet. We'll need your full cooperation in prosecution. The evidence we've gathered tonight should be enough to convict them both and recover your stolen intellectual property. Of course, Victoria replied. Whatever you need. As the FBI vehicles left with their prisoners, Victoria found herself alone with Marcus in the now quiet parking garage. The emergency lights cast everything in a surreal glow, and the weight of the evening's events suddenly hit her. I can't believe it's really over, she said, leaning against her car. Marcus moved closer, his expression gentle. I'm sorry it had to end this way. I know they meant something to you. Victoria looked up at him, seeing not the janitor she had dismissed so cruelly that morning, but the man who had risked everything to protect her company. Marcus, about this morning, the way I treated you, ... You were protecting what you built, he interrupted. I understand that now more than ever. No, she shook her head. I was being cruel because I was scared. Scared of losing control, scared of showing weakness. You didn't deserve that. Marcus stepped closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. Victoria Sterling apologizing. I never thought I'd see the day. She laughed despite everything, the sound echoing off the concrete walls. There's a lot you don't know about me, Detective Rivera. I'd like to learn, he said seriously, if you'll let me. Victoria's heart raced as she realized what he was asking. Your case is closed. You'll be going back to your regular assignment. Actually, Marcus smiled. I've been offered a position with corporate security consulting. Turns out there's a high demand for investigators who understand both law enforcement and business operations. Any particular company in mind? Victoria asked, a smile tugging at her lips. I know this tech company that might need someone with my skills. The CEO can be a little intimidating, but I think we could work well together. Victoria laughed, the sound genuine and free. I think that could be arranged, Detective Rivera. But I should warn you, I'm a very demanding boss. Wouldn't expect anything less, Marcus replied, reaching out to touch her face gently. Victoria, I want you to know that everything I said tonight, I meant it. This isn't just about the case anymore. She leaned into his touch, feeling tears she had been holding back all evening. I've spent so long building walls, protecting myself from getting hurt. But with you, I want to try something different. Marcus leaned down, his lips meeting hers in a kiss that was tender and full of promise. When they broke apart, Victoria rested her forehead against his. "So what happens now?" she asked. "Now we rebuild," Marcus said. "Your company, your trust in people, and maybe something new between us." Victoria nodded, feeling hope bloom in her chest for the first time in months. "I'd like that very much." 3 months later, Sterling Tech announced the successful launch of their quantum encryption processor. With detective-turned-security consultant Marcus Rivera standing beside CEO Victoria Sterling at the press conference, the betrayal that had nearly destroyed her company had instead led her to something she had never expected to find: love built on truth, trust, and the courage to be vulnerable with someone worth the risk. Paisley walked hand in hand back to the office that had once been the scene of her greatest humiliation. Victoria realized that sometimes the most unexpected encounters lead to the most extraordinary love stories.